The finance committee was programmed to meet at 10 o'clock in order for us to be able to have a sitting at about 12. Subsequently, we got to know that the minority caucus was having a meeting. So the finance committee then elected to have their meeting at 12. So I engaged the speaker and told him that given what the finance committee wants to do, to have the meeting at 12, which I thought perhaps was not going to span for more than 1 hour. They will still have to write their reports. The leadership of the committee agree on the content for the report to eventually be printed in the printed room, in the room downstairs for distribution team members. I said to Mr. Speaker that the earliest the House could sit would be 2 p.m. But when we went for the meeting lasted from 12 beyond 3 p.m. So when we closed at about 3:15 thereabout, exactly 3:17, I called the speaker. On 2 occasions, he couldn't respond. So I sent him a WhatsApp message, as I did earlier, that given the circumstances, it wasn't going to be possible for the House to sit at 2 because the Finance Committee's meeting had gone beyond 3 o'clock. So I proposed that the House sits at 5. Whether or not the Speaker read the message, I don't know. But then around 4:15, 4:20, he came to the chamber to preside. When I got to see that, because I had just entered my office, I had to rush to the chamber. And I told his secretary that I had sent some message to him. And I was surprised that he had come to sit. And then the secretary told me that normally these days, because he wants to have more time to rest, he doesn't access his phones. So if I have any serious message to the speaker, I rather should communicate to him so that he could relay same to the speaker. But be that as it may, we came for the sitting. The speaker exited, and when he did exit, he called the first deputy speaker to hold the fort. The first deputy speaker came in, and the message from the speaker to the first deputy speaker was that he should hold the fort. He will join him presently, that in the shortest possible time he will join him. He will come and relieve the speaker again. The first deputy speaker yesterday wasn't feeling well at all, and we had to persuade him to come and sit. It's the reason why when he sat for a brief while, he had to excuse himself, go and take his medication for the second deputy speaker to preside, and then come back to relieve him subsequently. So that is the sequence of events yesterday. What led to the confusion? One was the issue about the standing orders. Standing down order 81, which requires that when a bill has been debated in the House, when it's gone through the second reading, we should wait for at least 48 hours for us to do the consideration of the bill. But this bill has gone to the Committee of Finance that had determined that it should be taken under a certificate of urgency. The honorable minority leader was saying that there was no indication that the executive wanted to have the bill considered under a certificate of urgency. That is most untrue. Why do I say it's untrue? It's untrue because the bill came to this House without publication. So it had no Gazette notification. And that should suggest to you that the executive wants the bill to be considered under a certificate of urgency. So when it came to the committee also determined that it's of urgent nature and must be so considered. It came to the floor, and issues were raised by the Honorable Mahama Yariga relating to the same issue about whether or not it should be considered under a certificate of urgency. The Speaker ruled against him. And then there was this advertised motion that we should stand aside Order 81, which was raised by a member from the minority, that the attention of the Speaker should be on that motion. And the presiding Speaker at the time, the second Deputy Speaker, applied himself to it. But indeed and in truth, because we had decided to take the matter under a certificate of urgency, which requires that we could consider it within 24 hours, the Order 81 then had been rendered otious. It meant that it had no application. Automatically, it had fallen. So there was not even any need to move that motion. Be that as it may, the motion was moved, and a vote then had to be taken on it. And it ended in confusion, so the Speaker suspended the sitting. The second Deputy Speaker, who was presiding, suspended the sitting. And then, when we had to come back, the first Deputy Speaker came and assumed the chair. After a while, when he had called for division, he indicated that he wanted to go and take his medication and use the loo. Colleagues then felt, on the other side, felt that, well, if he hesitated, then he could not come and participate in the voting. I don't know of any constitutional provision. I don't know of any standing orders that prohibit a Deputy Speaker presiding from participating in the vote. There's no such. The Constitution and indeed our orders provide that the Speaker, and that is what distinction I sought to draw the other time, the Speaker does not have an original or a casting vote. Why? Because our Speaker is not a member of Parliament. He's not one of the 275 members of Parliament, which is why he's barred by the Constitution and the standing orders from participating in our voting. The orders provide that Deputy Speakers do not have original votes. The orders don't say that they cannot have a casting vote. Ladies and gentlemen, any one of you who is cognizant with parliamentary practice will come to appreciate the fact that in the Westminster system, where speakers are members of Parliament, the speakers don't have original votes. Why? Because, you see, when they sit in the seat, they are supposed to play the role of neutral arbiters, like referees. So they don't exercise original votes. But wherever we have members of Parliament who are speakers, they have a casting vote. What it means is that in the event of a tie, the Speaker will vote. It's not only in the Westminster system, that is maybe the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and so on. In the US, which is the flagship of presidential systems, in all the states, the speakers have casting votes because they are members of Parliament. It's the reason why our speakers, the deputy speakers, are not forbidden by the Constitution and our standing orders to cast a casting vote. So, assuming the Speaker left the seat for the second Deputy Speaker, and then he came back to preside. Even if he came back to preside, he, as a Deputy Speaker, in the event of a tie, can have a casting vote. On the other hand, if he came back and said the second Deputy Speaker was doing a good job. So he was, perhaps after taking his medication, going to be on the floor. As a member of parliament, he was entitled to a vote. So either way, whether presiding or on the floor, a deputy speaker is not forbidden by any rule, any constitutional prohibition or standing orders from having a casting vote. So why the injection of violence with people moving, the minority moving from their place to come and physically prevent the deputy speaker from assuming the chair? Why? In parliament, we debate issues with brain power, not brawn.
Don't fight.
With brain power, not brawn. So if you disagree with me, and that's what I was telling the deputy minority yesterday, whenever you are here, you see what happens. Whenever the minority leader has to speak, we are all ears, we want to listen to him. Whenever any member from the minority leadership gets up, they wouldn't want to listen. Where from that? Where from that? And you saw what happened, that in the course of the melee, a member from the minority moved and with whatever implement scratched, inflicted a wound beneath the eyelid of the Minister for Youth and Sports, himself a member of parliament. Where from this? The Parliament of Ghana has not witnessed such bestiality before. Do we want to inflict carnage in Parliament? Are we deserving of the title honorable members? Distinguished colleagues, I think yesterday was a day of shame. So we came today, we adjourned the House to 9 o'clock, and when we came 10 o'clock, then we had indication that the Speaker said you will not be able to join us at 9 o'clock or even 10 o'clock, that he will come back, he will come here at 11:30. Subsequently, another message came to say that no, he says he can only be here at 12. And I mean, the House cannot be held to ransom by one person. The House cannot be held to ransom by one person. And I think it's most unfortunate. Yesterday, leaving the seat, he told the first deputy speaker that he was handing over to, that he should come and relieve him. He's stepping out, he'll come back pretty soon to also relieve him. All that we heard was that he had left to his house. And that's most unfortunate, without any further communication to the first deputy speaker or to me. Because as I said, I had been having some discussions with him. And I'm told today that he didn't even have any discussion with the minority leadership as well. So where are we going from here? A most unfortunate development. Is the reason why when we came, we decided that we should allow ourselves some time for cooler heads to prevail and take an adjournment into the new year. Hopefully, as I indicated, maybe not further than the 18th of January. If it becomes necessary to perhaps meet earlier, we could do so. But that's the indication. And I think that this would also allow us some time to have further consultations among ourselves. It's the reason why the Speaker, the first Speaker, had to adjourn the House sine die. So that's where we are. And I believe that, as you know, the budget has been passed. There was an attempt to portray that there's no budget. There is a budget. And we have had the appropriations bill passed. The budget must be fed. Budget is the work program of government containing expenditures and revenue. The e-levy is going to feed into the revenue considerations of the budget. Yes, it's going to contribute in the region of about 8-9 billion. The total expenditures in the region of about 130 billion. And the revenues anticipated mobilization from within in the region of about 89 billion. The e-levy is an integral part of it and a very important part of it. It doesn't, however, mean that without it, government cannot go on. Government will run, the budget has been approved, and other sources of revenue will be applied into the new year, and when we come back, we'll do what is needful to rescue what needs to be rescued in order for government to be able to perform its duties unhindered by anybody. We thank you very much.
So we just allow 3 questions, if any. Okay.
No. Right. Okay. Yeah, leader.
You identify yourself first.
Yeah, okay, I'm Bubu with GBC. Okay, I want to talk about the issue of the speaker going out to Lulu. Because yesterday, when we resumed, the speaker gave indications. The speaker gave indications that when, in the course of the voting division, you get up to allow the first and the second speaker to take the seat so that he would also vote. But then on the 30th of November, when the budget was being approved, the speaker sitting said that he could count towards quorum, but when it comes to voting, he will not vote. But what happened yesterday, he gave indication that he could vote. That is a confusion for me.
First of all, when people talk, you must listen carefully. What you are saying is not what the speaker said. I get the impression that you then took the opportunity to misreport. The speaker never said what you are saying. What the speaker, yes, play it back. What the speaker said on that day was that he is a member of parliament representing the people of Bekwai. He represents a constituency. And so when the constitution provides that before a decision is taken, we should have a minimum of 1/2 of members of parliament present in the chamber, he, the speaker, should be counted as a member of parliament, therefore as the quorate number to make the determination. That's what he said. Yes, the speaker did not say that even though he's a member, he's not going to vote. He didn't say that. You are just adding that for whatever reason. I don't want to believe that it's for mischief purposes. But the speaker did not say that. Subsequently, when he responded to whether or not he voted, he said he didn't vote. He did not participate in the voting. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to vote. Because you see, once you have the correct number for making a determination, right, 138 plus, the members who form the quorum to take a decision may not all of them be required to participate in the voting. So somebody could say that I'm abstaining from voting, but he's part of the minimum number required to take the vote. You appreciate that? So that if you have 138 people in the chamber, with the speaker counting as a member of parliament and therefore as part of the correct number to make a decision, and you had for a question 70 members voting for yes, and maybe 8 of them saying that they are abstaining, right? And then let's assume that 60 vote against. The 70 people would have made a decision for the entire parliament. So that is the distinction that the speaker made. Yesterday, he said that I'm a deputy speaker. I cannot be deprived of my vote. I'm entitled to vote. So when it comes to voting, I could take part in the voting. That's what he said. The two statements are not the same. So you should probe the context and don't ascribe words to the speaker, the first deputy speaker, which words he had not said. That's the distinction that I want to make.
The next question.
So that's the distinction, and that is what the speaker said. And I've told you that in all jurisdictions, speakers even substantive speakers, who are members of parliament, are not precluded by any constitutional or rules of procedure provisions to participate in the voting in the House. I think that's the distinction that you should have.
Okay, that's enough.
Thank you very much.
The
e-levy in the plenary got to a certain stage. When the House resumes, is it going to start a new process or is it going to continue for
Well, let's get to the bridge, we shall cross it.
Issues regarding the budget study, we were told of a 20-member committee put together by the leaders of the House. 20-member committee de-escalate to ensure that scenes that characterized that period will not repeat itself. We saw what happened yesterday. What are the plans to institutionalize consensus building, since it looks like this will not be the last time okay to break up based on the numbers?
I think that people want to suggest that we have not been building consensus. I think I've spoken to this matter. I'm the majority leader. I've been a minority leader for 8 years. The current speaker has been a majority leader before. Then for the side of when I was a minority leader, the Honorable Cletus Abuka also served at one time as the majority leader. The Honorable Dr. Ben Kumbo at one time also served as the majority leader. For 8 years, I was the minority leader. I'll tell you, and the world should know, there was not one single occasion, that the leaders of the majority at the time invited me to a discussion. Not once, including Bagme himself, as a majority leader for 4 years. Not once, one occasion did he invite me to his office for any discussion on the way forward for us as a country. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on 4 different occasions, has, through me, invited the leadership of the House, including Right Honorable Speaker, and then the members in leadership on the other side, for us to meet and dialogue on the way forward. That was even when we had 169. On 4 occasions. President Mills did not do that once. President Mahama, for his 4 years, not once. So if it comes to building consensus and uniting the House, if they turn around to say that, oh, we are not doing that, I'm sorry, it is palpable untruth. In my office, there are several times that my colleagues, I invite them, we sit down and have discussions. Even each in my office, just so that we cultivate that relationship. The Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs has, using the platform of the ministry, met with the leadership, the smaller leadership, that is 5 on each side, plus the deputy speakers. We've met, and sometimes even over lunch or dinner, at least about 10 times. And the extended leadership, including the chairman and ranking members of committees, numerous occasions, all to build consensus and move forward as one people. And yet, they turn around to say that we have not been engaging enough. Yesterday, there were several meetings. The day this so-called rejection of the budget happened, that weekend, we're having consultations with them. So we've been doing that. We will not relent. We'll continue to do that. Thank you very much.